The year is 1692, and an eerie silence blankets the town of Salem, Massachusetts. As dawn breaks, a veil of dread descends, whispering of a terror yet to unfold. This is the year of the notorious Salem Witch Trials, a chilling chapter in history that would forever scar this quaint New England town. The town of Salem was no stranger to the supernatural, a place steeped in puritanical beliefs, where the line between the divine and the diabolical was often blurred. But as the 17th century dawned, a wave of paranoia began to sweep over the town. A fear of the unknown, of the devil lurking in the shadows, ready to strike at the heart of their community. In the depths of winter, the first accusations of witchcraft surfaced. A group of young girls writhing, screaming, and contorting in ways that defied explanation. Doctors were baffled, ministers were troubled, and the townsfolk, they were terrified. The only plausible explanation: witchcraft. The cycle of suspicion and accusation began. Neighbor turned against neighbor, friend against friend, as the fear of the unknown festered. The town was seized by a hysteria, fueled by suspicion and uncertainty. The mere whisper of a name could lead to an arrest, a trial, and a date with the gallows. The socio-political climate of the time only served to fan the flames of this paranoia. Struggles for power, religious extremism, and the fear of the other converged, creating the perfect storm for a witch hunt. The stage was set for a series of events that would send shockwaves through the annals of history. Fear and suspicion were the order of the day, and Salem was about to descend into a nightmare. As the sun rose on that dreadful dawn, little did the people of Salem know they were on the cusp of a year that would cast a long, haunting shadow over their town, a shadow that lingers even today. In the winter of 1692, strange and terrifying events began to unfold. So began the mysterious afflictions of two young girls, Elizabeth Parris and Abigail Williams. Their inexplicable symptoms, characterized by violent convulsions, delirious outbursts, and eerie trances, puzzled and frightened the puritanical town of Salem. Desperate for answers, the community turned to the most likely explanation of the day: witchcraft. A chilling cold swept over the town as accusations began to echo through the silent winter air. The whispers of witchcraft grew louder and louder until they were impossible to ignore. The first to bear the brunt of these accusations was perhaps the most vulnerable of all: Tituba, a slave in the Parris household. Tituba, with her diverse cultural background and unfamiliar practices, became the perfect scapegoat for the town's burgeoning fears. Under intense pressure and fear for her life, Tituba confessed to practicing witchcraft, but her confession was not a simple admission of guilt. Instead, it was a sensational tale of encounters with the devil, black dogs, red cats, and a tall man dressed in black. This coerced confession not only confirmed the town's worst fears, but also added fuel to the growing fire of paranoia. As the news of Tituba's confession spread, so did the fear and suspicion. Neighbor began to eye neighbor with mistrust. Friends turned on friends. The fabric of this tight-knit community began to tear at the seams. The accusations of witchcraft, initially targeted at the marginalized and vulnerable, soon spiraled out of control. No one was safe from the pointing fingers and suspicious glances. The fear of the unknown, the fear of the other, had taken a firm hold of Salem. The seeds of hysteria were sown, and Salem was on the brink of chaos. The stage was set for one of history's most infamous witch hunts, a haunting chapter that would forever leave its mark on this small Massachusetts town. As spring bloomed, so did the witch trials, turning neighbor against neighbor. Just as the vibrant colors of spring began to paint the landscapes of Salem, a darker hue was cast over the town, the hue of fear, suspicion, and betrayal. The trials, a grim spectacle of paranoia and hysteria, had begun. Not a soul in Salem was safe from the whispering accusations and the pointing fingers. The establishment of the Court of Oyer and Terminer marked the official commencement of the witch trials. This special court was charged with hearing and determining the cases of alleged witchcraft. It was here that the fates of the accused were decided, and it was here that the seeds of terror were sown. The court proceedings were anything but ordinary. The evidence presented was as spectral and elusive as the witches themselves were believed to be. Spectral evidence, the testimony that the accused witch's spirit or spectral shape appeared to the witness in a dream or vision, was not just accepted, but heavily relied upon. This reliance on such intangible evidence only fueled the growing hysteria. The number of accusations grew exponentially. Fear gripped the town, and accusations became a tool for survival. It was easier to point a finger than to be on the receiving end of one. Neighbors accused neighbors, friends turned on friends, and even families were torn apart. The trials were no longer just about rooting out the witches. They had become a manifestation of the townsfolk's deepest fears and insecurities. And so the trials continued, each day bringing new accusations, new trials, and new verdicts. The town of Salem was caught in a whirlwind of fear and suspicion, and at the heart of it all was the court of Oya and Termina, holding the strings that controlled the fate of the town and its people. In the name of justice, a wave of terror was unleashed. The trials had commenced, the stage was set, and Salem was about to witness a chilling spectacle that would forever scar its history. The summer of 1692 was a season of death, as the gallows claimed its victims. As the trials progressed, the first to face the fatal consequence was a woman named Bridget Bishop. Known for her flamboyant lifestyle and multiple marriages, Bishop was an easy target for the accusations of witchcraft. Despite her vehement denials and pleas for her life, she was declared guilty and hanged on June 10th. Her death marked the beginning of a grim era in Salem. Following Bishop, the town saw a grim parade of individuals, all condemned under the same charge of witchcraft. The gallows, once a rare and somber sight, became an all-too regular fixture in the town square. With each hanging, the townsfolk bore witness to the terrifying power of their own fear and hysteria, a force that was now claiming lives with alarming frequency. The public reaction was a mix of horror and morbid fascination. Some saw the hangings as justice served, a necessary purging of evil from their midst. Others, however, began to harbor doubts. The fear that had once driven them to accuse their neighbors now gnawed at their conscience. Could all these people truly be witches? Or were they innocent victims of a town gone mad? The hangings were not just executions, they were public spectacles. They served to stoke the fires of hysteria even further, cementing the belief in witchcraft and its supposed presence in Salem. The town was gripped in a fever of fear and paranoia, where even the most innocent actions could be interpreted as signs of witchcraft. As the summer wore on, the hangings continued. The condemned, who were once friends and neighbors, were now seen as dangerous witches who threatened the very fabric of Salem society. The town was in the grip of a self-perpetuating cycle of fear and death, fueled by the very hangings meant to quell it. With each hanging, the town's descent into madness seemed unstoppable. As autumn leaves fell, so did the public's faith in the witch trials. It was a turning point in the narrative of the Salem Witch Trials as the townsfolk began to question the legitimacy of the trials. Doubts crept in, whispers of skepticism echoed through the town, and the once fervent belief in witchcraft started to wane. The tide truly turned when the court of Oya and Termina, which had been responsible for the trials, was disbanded in the fall of 1692. The end of witch trials was in sight. The accused witches, who had been awaiting their fate in the dank, cold cells, were finally released, their charges dismissed. The townsfolk breathed a collective sigh of relief. The witch hunt had ended, but the effects were far from over. The aftermath of the trials was a time of great reflection and remorse. The people of Salem were left to grapple with the guilt of their actions. Many of those involved in the trials, including the judges and accusers, issued public apologies, expressing their profound regret for the part they had played in the hysteria. Yet apologies could not erase the horrors that had taken place. The families of the victims were left to mourn their loss, their grief a stark reminder of the town's collective guilt. In an attempt to right the wrongs, restitution was made to the victims' families, but no amount of money could bring back the loved ones they had lost. As the town tried to heal and move forward, the trials left a lasting impact. The once thriving town of Salem was now a place marked by fear, mistrust, and regret. The trials had stripped Salem of its innocence, leaving in its wake a community forever haunted by its past. The nightmare had ended, but the scars of the Salem Witch Trials would forever mark the town. The Salem Witch Trials have become a dark chapter in history, a chilling reminder of the dangers of mass hysteria and unfounded accusations. Centuries have passed, yet the echoes of the Salem Witch Trials still resonate. As we venture further into the labyrinth of time, the distant whispers of the Salem Witch Trials continue to pervade the nation's consciousness. These trials, born out of fear, paranoia, and superstition, have left an indelible mark on the American psyche, shaping our understanding of justice and due process. Delving deeper into the trial's aftermath, we see a profound influence on American legal proceedings. The trials underscore the importance of evidence-based reasoning and the presumption of innocence, principles that are now enshrined in our legal system. They serve as a stark reminder of the perils of unchecked hysteria and the miscarriage of justice that can arise from it. But the legacy of the Salem Witch Trials extends beyond the courtroom. They have seeped into popular culture, becoming a recurring theme in literature, theater, and cinema. These narratives continue to captivate audiences, reflecting our fascination with the macabre and the unknown. In the heart of Salem, the haunting legacy of the trials is palpable. The town has become a living testament to this dark chapter in history. A memorial stands in honor of the victims, a solemn reminder of the 20 innocent lives claimed by the trials. The granite benches inscribed with the victims' names serve as a silent protest against the injustices they suffered. The trials have also shaped Salem's identity. The town has embraced its witchy past, becoming a hub for witchcraft and occult enthusiasts. Every October, the town comes alive with haunted happenings, a month-long festival that pays homage to its eerie past. In the annals of history, the Salem Witch Trials stand as a chilling reminder of a time when fear and suspicion ruled. They serve as a cautionary tale, urging us to question, to seek truth, and to resist the pull of fear and superstition. As we look back on the trials, we are reminded of the human capacity for cruelty, but also of our potential for growth, understanding, and justice. The Salem Witch Trials were a dark chapter in American history, a tale of fear, superstition, and mass hysteria. This haunting narrative unfolded in a small town in Massachusetts, where whispers of witchcraft quickly transformed into a storm of accusations and trials. It was a time when societal norms and religious fervor collided, giving birth to a frenzy that consumed innocent lives. We've journeyed through this chilling saga together, from the dreadful dawn of the trials to the grim hangings that left a town in mourning. We've seen how fear and suspicion can escalate, how they can manipulate minds and turn neighbors against each other. We've seen the power of mass hysteria, its ability to distort reality and wreak havoc on a community. But perhaps most importantly, we've seen the turning tide, the moment when the madness began to ebb, and the chilling aftermath of these events. The haunting legacy of Salem isn't just about the witches or the trials. It's about the human capacity for cruelty when fueled by fear and superstition. It's a stark reminder of the importance of critical thinking, of questioning, and of standing against the tide of public opinion when it threatens to sweep away reason and justice. These echoes from the past must serve as a lesson for us. As time marches on, we must ensure that we do not repeat the mistakes of our ancestors. The pages of history are littered with tales of fear and prejudice, leading to unspeakable acts. It is our duty to learn from these stories, to foster understanding and compassion, and to ensure that we do not allow fear to blind us to our shared humanity. As we remember the victims of Salem, we must strive to foster understanding and compassion in our own times. Don't forget to comment your thoughts, like, and subscribe for more historical explorations.